Hey VCers, it's Matt. Hope everybody's having a good Saturday night, and just wanted to check in and do a response to our good friend and fellow VC member Chad Aka the Random 1369. So Chad, how you doing tonight, man? I hope you're having a great weekend, a great Saturday night. I was having a great Saturday till about an hour ago. Just saw the most heartbreaking football game I've ever sat through, and I don't want to talk about that too much other than to say I was sitting there, I was thinking these visions of TCU in the Final Four and playing Notre Dame or Mississippi State or Oregon for the national championship, and I was just terrible, man. Just 21 points ahead, and so anyway, let's talk about some more pleasant stuff. You've got a contest going, but wanted to chime in on that. First of all, though, I want to say the other day, a week or two ago, you did a video about Doctober over at Doc's Records, which was Saturday before last, and I think you ended up going out there with a couple other people from around the area that post on the VC. Wish I would have ran into you. I was out there. I went out there. Well, I think they opened 11, so I went out there kind of around the time they opened, and they had the setting out the food and the bands were about to start and all that good stuff. I bought a few records. Be fun to thought it'd be fun to hang around for a while, watch the bands and stuff. But just caught up in regular normal life stuff. I had to go grocery store and stuff like that in the morning. And you're in Texas, so you know that we just finally got to where it feels a little bit like fall here. But these last several weeks have been, it's Halloween and it's 98 degrees outside, so just kind of miserable. So I was at Doc's, I bought my records, thought maybe sit and watch some of the bands, but I had groceries in the trunk of the car there and 90 degrees, so that's not a good mix. So had to get out, take that stuff, get that stuff home, and by the time I got it home and all that, I just didn't feel like turning around and going back, which I should have, would have been a fun time, but I'm old and lazy, so I don't know. But they do that quite often, or they do that several times a year out at Doc's. So maybe next time around I'll run into you guys and say hi and hang out and talk records and all that good stuff. I know they do that for Record Store Day. They have the bands and the free food and the beer and all that good stuff. And maybe they'll do it before then even. But so hopefully see you guys around Doc's sometime. Anyway, so your record, your contest, I don't remember if it was any specific. I think it was. I don't remember what your subscriber number is, or if you're just having a contest. But you, if I remember correctly, it was something like uh, recommend some music. So that, and like, hey Chad, check this out. I think you'd like it. Do tell. I think that's basically the gist of it. And you said that your music of choice, you favor the melodic sounds of the heavy metal, the headbanger variety, the hard rocking sounds of that stuff. So there you go. Not really a genre that I'm into, but great stuff for those who enjoy it. Uh, and that's some of those. I mean, I know heavy metal. I know what people are talking about by and large nowadays. But funny thing is, when I was a teenager kid, things like Led Zeppelin and AC/DC and Aerosmith, those type of bands were called heavy metal. Nowadays, you call them heavy metal, and people that care about that type of stuff anyway, they say, "No, it's not heavy metal. That's hard rock. Heavy metal is, I don't know, Metallica and Cradle of Filth or those type bands." So I don't know, but I like Led Zeppelin and AC/DC some, and the other stuff that's considered heavy metal now. Anyway, you said that you wanted people to. That's your favorite type of music. I'm sure you'd like other stuff too, but wanted people to come on here and recommend some stuff that's sort of outside of that. So you could maybe discover some new sounds that you might like or not. but at least give it a shot and see. So I was thinking about that, well, what to recommend. And so if heavy metal hard rock is your forte there, probably not a good idea to go too far out of that comfort zone. But, you know, don't want to recommend more heavy metal music, and I don't really have any anyway, or other than, like I said, Led Zeppelin and so forth. So I'm thinking probably not a good idea to say, hey, you know, if you like Metallica, man oh man, you're going to dig Miss Duke here. That's probably not going to work. You know, this might not be the way to go. I don't know that you'd like this too much. Actually, I don't know if I'm going to like this. I got this today. I went to a garage sale. They had some records, and someone said there's a garage sale down the street. They have records. Didn't expect much because I never have much luck with those type of things, and I wasn't disappointed because everything there was crap, or was just weird stuff I'd never heard of that didn't sound very good. I don't know that I'm a real Doris Day fan, but these records were 50 cents a piece, and I bought 4 or 5 records. I figure for 50 cents, it's a double album too, so, you know, I'll give it a listen, and if it's crap, I'll throw it away. But the reason I bought this, other than the fact it was 50 cents, I did a review of this the other day, and I'm not going to recommend this to you either because I figure this probably wouldn't be your cup of tea. But every song on this album is a cover version, and so when I was doing the review, I kind of compared and contrasted Tracey Ullman's version with the original version, saying, you know, on this song I like Tracey's just as well or better, or I like the original artist better. And there's a song on here called, oh, there goes the Bangles. There's a song on here called Move Over Darling, which is from a movie, same title, from 1960, 61, 62, that stars Doris Day, and Doris Day sings the title song in that movie. So I went to YouTube and listened to her version, and I think it was pretty good, and I actually preferred Doris Day's version to Tracey Ullman's version. And so a couple other songs on here. It's got Que Sera Sera, which is a fun song. Sly Stone does a really good job. And what else is on here? Most of this I don't know, but and I'm sure you're thrilled to hear me talk about Doris Day here. But Somewhere Over the Rainbow is on here, so I'll see if her version, what that sounds like, and if I like it, I'll keep it. If I don't, I'll keep it or throw it away. But yeah, so I figured if you like hard rock, heavy metal, I wanted to find something that was not completely a whole other kettle of fish, something that was kind of somewhat in that neighborhood, maybe. But then I thought it'd be fun to get 1 or 2 things that are totally the opposite of that type of music too. But so yeah, just a couple of artists real quick. I don't know if you know these guys. This album Tago Mago. It's in the Shrinks. I don't know if it's going to have a glare either way. 1971 album, German band, part of the what they call krautrock genre of music. There's Tago Mago or Tago Mago, not sure how you pronounce it. Great album, 1971. Here is their debut album, Monster Movie. They were called The Can on their first album instead of just Can. Kind of like Piper at the Gates of Dawn, they were called the Pink Floyd. Anyway, 1969, their debut album. And this is their, I think I'm right on this, their second album, 1970, I believe. Soundtracks, which is actually music that they did for soundtracks for different movies. Those are the movies there on the front. I've never heard of any of these movies. Maybe they were just released in Germany, I don't know. But yeah, so what's that got to do with hard rock and heavy metal? Can is really great, really great. One of the best rock bands of the 70s that didn't get a lot of attention. They they're a strange mix of kind of art, avant-garde, art rock, out there, weird stuff, but at the same time, in a lot of cases, very catchy and melodic, very guitar driven. That's the thing, you know, with your heavy metal and your headbanging and your hard rock, the guitar is key. So a lot of great guitar work on here. There's sort of a spiky punk rock long before punk rock as a term existed, or you know, several years before anyway. They're I said prog, a little bit of heavy rock, a little bit of art rock, a little bit of out there weirdness, and all in all, just some great music overall. Really tasty guitar work on these albums, especially this one. Well, all three of these, but and they have more albums than this, but their first 4 or 5 albums, any of them are worth checking out. But these would be the three I would go with. I would recommend, and they just re-released these on vinyl and remastered vinyl. Really heavy discs on here, really good quality stuff. So these albums were hard to find or expensive to find on vinyl before that, because they didn't sell really well in America back in the day. And I would go with Monster Movie first, and I would go with Tagomago second, or this one's great too, soundtracks. But good guitar, kind of short songs, some long songs. Monster Movie, the second side is just one song. Tagomago has a side long song on one of the third side, I think, and then a couple of really long songs, and then some shorter songs. Catchy, hard driving rock, but at the same time melodic, out there and weird. It's going to give you some good guitar. Not your heavy metal, somebody tearing up the fretboard guitar, if that's your thing, but not your somebody sitting there playing classical folk guitar. It's just a good raw driving guitar that's kind of good rock and roll guitar, good punk rock guitar, good prog guitar, I guess. I don't know how to really explain it other than that, but it's good, great stuff. Check that out, and that's not going to sound like heavy metal per se, but it's not going to be so far off that it's some radical, completely different departure for you if you don't already know about those guys. Second band I'm going to talk about, Funkadelic. They are, in my opinion, possibly the best funk and soul band of the 70s. I'm not sure about that though, because you had Marvin Gaye doing some great stuff. You had Stevie Wonder, you had Al Green, you had Curtis Mayfield. A lot of those guys did stuff in the 60s too. Funkadelic, they started in, well, 69 really, but they did some stuff in Motown in 67 too, but as Parliament. But really their first album proper, 1970. Funkadelic was, George Clinton was the brains behind Funkadelic, and the brains behind the band Parliament. It was sort of some of the same people in each band and some different people in each band, but so it's soul, it's funk. But here's the other thing, this might be the best rock and roll band of the 70s, including Led Zeppelin and anyone else you can think of. And because they have a guy named Eddie Hazel in here, and he was on the first, I think he was on the first 4 or 5 albums or so. Eddie Hazel doesn't get the attention he deserves, doesn't get the credit he should have. One of the great guitarists of all time. And if you like the hard rock and heavy metal, I'm thinking you probably like Jimi Hendrix. This guy is, maybe he's not the equal or the better of Hendrix, I don't know, that might be, but he's real close. And any other guitar player, white, black, blue, red, purple, whatever, he's right up there. Great guitar player, and this is as much rock and roll as it is soul and funk. Their early albums, they sort of go more in a funk mode after album 6 or so, but early on they're just crazy everything. They're a band from Detroit. They played with on stage, shared a stage with the Stooges, Bob Seger back when he was starting out, and you know the early Bob Seger, the good stuff, not the like a rock boring stuff. MC5, the Stooges, you know, all those guys. So just influenced by soul music and funk music, but influenced just as much by the psychedelic Summer of Love '67 and the San Francisco sound and the British invasion and all that stuff. So it's just a stew pot of just crazy out there, all over the place. Sometimes I wonder whether this is, as far as funk music, you know, the only ones that are better or the equal is James Brown and Sly Stone. These guys are just nuts. Great guitar solos. Their second album, this is their first album, and this is just a deep, just raw, stinky, great swamp music, funk, rock, insanity. That's a great album. Their second album, uh, Maggot Brain, which I don't have on CD or vinyl, unfortunately, right now. It's a great guitar album. The sidelong title song on side one of that is just a showcase for Hazel's guitar. This is their third album. I might have that backwards. Second album, I don't remember where this or Maggot Brain came out first, but doesn't really matter. This is from 1971, I believe. Free Your Mind and Your Ass Will Follow. Just some incredible, great guitar work, great vocals, great songs. So Funkadelic, if you haven't checked them out, by all means do. And if you're looking for some great guitar work, and that's some heavy guitar and heavy but melodic at the same time, catchy as hell and fun, get you up and dancing. Funkadelic, check them out. And so that's the two that I think would be not too far out of your wheelhouse. And something a little bit out. I know everybody's sick of me talking about this. I still think it's the album of the year. Best album I've heard in 20, 30 years. This is Lydia Loveless, Somewhere Else album. Came out earlier this year. Came out in February, I think. I would say check that out. She sounds like Stevie Nicks, only better. I'm not a huge fan of Stevie Nicks, but not a huge fan of country. She's rock, she's pop, she's not crap like most music nowadays. I still put that on. I put it on, hadn't listened to it in a couple of 2 or 3 months. I put it on the other day thinking, you know, this is too good to be true. I'm going to listen to this and think, couldn't have been this good. I'm not going to like it. I'm going to say, what was I thinking when I was ranting and raving about it? Put it on a week or two ago. It's still great. She just one of the best songwriters and the band. Just great music. So those would be the three things I would recommend to you. So that's my entry. Check that out. Funkadelic, Can. I don't think those would be too far off the stuff that you're listening to. They're going to be different, but they're not going to be radically different. Lydia Loveless isn't anything like heavy metal or hard rock at all. She's just great. And have a good weekend, Chad, and hope everyone else in the VC does too.